Yo, what's up YouTube? It's Martin here from CardsAtHome once again, and in today's video I'm just going to be doing a brand new updated rulings and how to play Resolution Breakers video for you guys, because I'm not entirely sure if people were able to follow the last one I did, and it was like 2 years ago now. So I wanted to do a quick updated one, and hopefully it'll be a little bit more clearer for you guys to follow. Alright, so let's just get on into it. So first things first, you're going to need some way in order to remember what kind of damage you're on or what life you're on. Obviously you're going to need to have a deck, you know. First things first, shuffle your deck, and then you'll draw 5 cards. And now at this step, you get to decide if you want to shuffle any of these cards back into your deck, and then redraw the same amount of number of cards that you just shuffled back into your deck. So just for tutorial purposes, I'm going to shuffle the whole entire hand back. And then because I returned 5 cards, I will then pick up 5 cards once again. And then this will be my starting hand for the game. And then once you've picked up your starting hand, you will then put the top 5 cards from your deck into your reserve pile, which is found over here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go down face up in your reserve pile. And then after that, you will then decide who will be taking the first turn. The player who takes the first turn will not be able to attack. They would only be able to set up their field first in order for the second player to then attack them. So you'll be able to decide this however you want. You'll do either rock, paper, scissors, or, you know, flip a coin, or just decide whoever goes first because whoever's the oldest or something. That'll be entirely up to you. And then once you've decided who will be going first, you then move on to the steps of the game, which I will run through step by step to make things a little bit more easier. Alright, so the first step of the game is just draw step, which is pretty much self-explanatory. You just draw to start your turn. Then after the draw step, then comes the refresh step. And now in the refresh step is only really a step that comes involved after the first turn of the game, because in the refresh step, if you have any units on the field which are turned on their side like this, they will turn upright in this position. That counts also for your leader zone. Your leader zone, if it's turned on the side, it will turn upright too. Unless the unit is prevented from doing so, it will turn up on its side no matter what. Another thing you can do in your refresh step is retreat your leader. Now retreating your leader is basically taking the card in your leader zone and returning it back to your hand. But if your leader is first damaged, you have to first send cards from your reserve pile to the graveyard equal to the amount of damage that your leader has got. So it seems that this guy has 3 life. If he has taken 2 damage previously, I would then have to send 2 cards from my reserve pile to the graveyard in order to retreat him to my hand. And then once you have retreated your leader, you then cannot deploy another unit into your leader zone with the same name as the card you retreated previously. And unless you have any other like cards effects or cards to activate during this step, it then moves on from your refresh step then to your main step. Now your main step is pretty much where you set up how you're gonna play the rest of your turn out. So in your main step, you could either activate cards effects that can be activated, use spells, or you can, this is where you bring your units out to the field. Now when it comes to units, there is either deploying, normal deploying, or there is frontal deploying. Normal deploying is basically when you deploy a normal unit into your unit area. You can deploy as many units as you want into your unit area during your turn as you like. And now frontal deploying is whenever you deploy a unit in your hand into your leader zone. Again, you don't have to deploy a unit into the leader zone if you don't feel you want to. It's entirely up to you. So once you've finished with your main step and you've deployed all the units you want, activated all the cards you want, you then move on from your main step to your battle step. And now the battle step, again, is pretty self-explanatory. It's where you send your units that you've brought out to the field during your main step into battle to attack your opponent with. But there is also 2 sides to the battle step. So there's attacking and then there's also blocking. So basically whoever's turn it is going to be attacking the opponent, and whoever's turn it isn't is going to be blocking the turn player who's attacking. Whether it's attacking or it's blocking, you can only attack or block with a unit that's standing upright like this. And once the unit attacks, it turns on its side, which now becomes its rested state, so it cannot do anything else apart from just wait until your next refresh step to refresh and stand back up again. So that goes the same with attacking and also blocking. You can only attack with a unit that's standing upright like this, and you can only block with a unit that's standing upright like this. In order to block, once your opponent has declared who they want to attack, if you have a unit that's standing upright like this, you can then decide if you want to block the attack. So you turn your unit on its side like that and declare that you're blocking, and that attack from whatever unit that was attacking previously will then go to the unit that's blocking instead. Your leader cannot block, it's only the units on your side that can block attacks. And same goes for the leader, whenever it attacks it turns on its side like this. Now damaging other units and also damaging players now comes involved into the unit's hit power up here. As you can see up here, the hit is represented by how much diamonds the card has. So this card has 2 hit, and then let's just get this card for a little explanation. This card up here has 1 life, so a unit only deals damage when it's attacking. So if this card would be attacking and this card is the target for the attack, this card will take 2 damage, and so that means its life will be wiped out and it will immediately get sent to the graveyard. If it was the other way around, however, this card's only got 1 hit, whereas this card's got 3 life. If this card is the one that's attacking and this card is the target, this card will take 1 damage, but it seems that it has 3 life. It would only take 1 life off and have 2 life left over. Again, you only deal damage by attacking, and the attacking unit always has the upper hand. And by the way that I'm saying that is basically, if I can get these 2 cards for a better example. So these 2 cards have the same power. If he is attacking him, he's the one who's going to deal damage because he is the attacking unit. The attacking unit always has the upper hand. And the reason why I say that is because with blocking, you do not ever deal damage when it comes to blocking. So just for this example again, if this card was to attack and then I was to block with this unit, he's gonna be the one to take damage because again, the attacking unit always has the upper hand. But let's just say I was to block with this card because he has 3000 power, so he's attacking, and then I was to block with this card, he will not take any damage, but because it was a successful block, which basically means his power was higher than the attacking unit's power when he was blocking, which then makes it become a successful block. The unit that gets blocked doesn't take any damage, but he will then become stunned. When a unit is stunned, it basically means it will stay on its side like that, preventing it from turning upright in the player that controls its next refresh step. Now even more with attacking and dealing damage, let's move on to actually dealing damage to the player themselves. So you would always start on 0 damage until you've taken a hit all the way up to 5, which is the limit. The only way for you to be attacked and take damage is if your leader is currently not in play anymore. So if your opponent was able to, decrease all the life of your unit and that gets sent to the graveyard, you are now open for a direct attack. And if a unit was to attack you directly, again, let's use this card for an example. If this card was to attack you directly, it will deal you 1 damage directly because it's only got a hit of 1. Whereas with this card, if this card was to attack you directly, it will deal you a damage of 2. Like in this scenario here, we don't have a leader zone, but let's say a unit is attacking us directly. Because we have cards on our side like here, again, we can still block that attack. Even if they're not targeting a unit, if they're targeting us directly, you can still block that attack either way. But even further, let's change this up. Let's say we don't have a unit that can block and they're attacking us directly with 1 damage. So we'll take that attack, we'll take a damage directly. And now I think this is where people get a little bit confused when it comes to the reserve power and taking damage. When you take a direct attack, you immediately, after that attack goes through, take 1 card from here and add it to your hand if you're the one that's taking damage. If you're the one that's dealing damage, so I'm attacking my opponent directly and I'm dealing him 1 damage, you will send the top amount of cards from your deck to your reserve pile equal to the amount of damage that you're dealing. So if I've dealt 1 damage to my opponent, I'll send the top card from my deck to my reserve pile. If I've dealt 2 damage to my opponent, I'll send the top 2 cards from my deck to my reserve pile. If I've sent 3 and so on and so on. That also goes for if you was one that was taking damage. If you've taken 1 hit, you will take 1 card. If you've taken 2 hits, you take 2 cards. And 3 and 4 and so on and so on. Now once you've attacked and you've decided that you don't want to attack with any more units, or you've got no other units to attack like in this scenario here, that will then be the end of your battle step. I mean, unless you have any like spell cards that could be played during the battle step, or you have any effects that can be activated during the battle step, it will then move on from your battle step to your end step. Now the end step again is very self-explanatory. It's pretty much just the end of your turn and it's you passing the turn over to your opponent. If you've got no other stuff to play during the end step, you basically just end your turn and your player then takes their turn. They go through all of the steps starting from the draw step all the way up to the end step, doing exactly what you've just done until there is a winner decided. So that is pretty much how you play in a nutshell, but I would like to go through a few more things just at the end of this video, just to go through a bit more things that are involved in the game. So the limit for a deck is 50 cards. Your deck has to contain 50 cards exactly, and you can only have up to 4 of the same card with the same name within your deck. The reason why I say the same name is because there will be cards that have like alternate art cards, and as I can show you here for for a quick example hopefully. So this card here would be the same as this card, where are you? Would be the same as this card here. They are both called Lord of Unrelated Flame. They just have a different picture, and you can only have up to 4 of the same card within your deck. You can make your deck however you feel you want to. There is a different kind of card within the game which is called a spell card, which is this card here, which I guess I can go over first. Now you can have as many spell cards within your deck as you want. You know, you can have 15 spell cards and then 35 unit cards. It's entirely up to you. Now with spell cards, there are 3 different types of spell cards. There is a normal spell card, there is a flash spell card, and then there's a permanent spell card. Spell cards are just like a little extra support that goes in within the game. I mean, you don't have to have any spell cards in your deck if you don't want to. It's just they're there just for an added extra boost towards your cards if you feel you want to use them. Now normal spell cards, the way they work is once you use them, they will activate and you fulfill their conditions and whatnot, and then they go straight to the graveyard once they're finished. Now flash cards, the way they work however is you can use them during either player's turn, during either step, unless if they have like a certain requirement on them. Like with this card it says can only be casted during the end step. So that's specifically telling you that you can only do this card during the end step, but it doesn't say whose end step, so you can use it during yours or your opponent's end step. So that's pretty much it. Flash cards, instead of with like normal spell cards, they can only be used during your turn. Flash cards could be used during either player's turn. But again, just like with normal cards, once they're used, you fulfill their conditions and whatnot, and then once they're activated, they then go to the graveyard. And now moving on to permanent spell cards. I mean, I guess it's kind of self-explanatory what they do. They can only be used during your turn, just like a normal spell card. But once you use them, their requirements do not like end. I guess they sit in your cast area face up for however long they stay there. If they stay there forever, then they stay there forever permanently. Now there is a brand new rule. It's an unwritten rule that I've added into the game regarding permanent spell cards. You can only have up to 4 cards face up in your cast area at any time. So that's the spell cards out of the way. We can then move on to unit cards. So the unit cards are pretty much these cards that like I showed you within the tutorial. These are the cards that you battle with, the cards that you use to damage your opponent with and basically win you the game. I could just run you through how they look and what's their deal, I guess. So as I showed you in the tutorial, they have a hit value, they have a life value. I'm sorry if it keeps going out of focus. Down here they'll have a certain clan, which is basically the team that they run with, I suppose. No other way that I can explain that. Down here they have like a type, which is just your basic generic like fire type, dark type, water type, but in this game it's just got different names like blaze, nature, shadow, hope and stuff like that. Then they have a power value, which is basically what they use it's like what they use first in order to battle their opponent with. And then they'll have their set number and whatnot, the art, their little flavor text, their name, and then they have their effects and whatnot down here. And talking with effects, that's when I'm going to move on to my next subject, which is resolve, which is quite a big thing within the game Resolution Breakers itself, is what it's kind of based upon. Now as you can see here, you have these little diamonds that says a 1 and a 0 in it. These are called resolve effects. Now resolve effects are effects that are active depending on the amount of damage that you yourself, the player, has got. Like with here, there's got a blue diamond with a 1 in it, which would basically mean that effect is only active whilst you're on 1 damage at least or above. Like these would be permanent effects once you reach that damage, but whilst you're below that damage, or you know, once you haven't met that damage requirement yet, that effect will not be active and you won't be able to use it. So that's pretty much resolve. There's quite a lot of resolve effects. Like there's the leader effect. Every single clan has their own certain specific resolve effect that they have over compared to the others. Like within this deck, which is the dojo deck, they have the berserker effect, which basically gives them an extra boost in power by 2000 during your turn. There'll be ones that give you a boost in power once you block, which is part of the Rune Knight deck. And there's a whole bunch of different resolve effects. We've only a few out so far, and there's a lot more planned for the future. And as you can see here, it says leader effect, which is a special kind of effect that's only active whilst that card is in the leader zone. And now every single deck has this kind of effect. It's a special kind of effect, which is unique to pretty much every single card. And now there's also another unwritten rule that I've added into the game, just to limit the game a little bit more. You can only have up to 16 cards with leader effect within your deck in total. So yeah, that's pretty much how you play Resolution Breakers. I'm hoping this one's a little bit more easier for you guys to follow. If you do have any more problems with the game, there's some things that you don't understand, do be sure to leave your questions and comments down below. I'll be sure to get back to every single one of them. But thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. If you're new around here, subscribe and like the video and whatnot, you know all that good stuff. But yeah, I shall see you in the next video. Until then, peace.